Hi, welcome to the Blackbaud Ninjas channel. In this video, I'm going to go over how to set up a standard online giving form. So whenever you're in RE NXT, this is going to be under online giving. If you do not see this in your left page tree, you'll need to reach out to an administrator to have them give you access so that you can get into online giving. So you just click overview and it'll bring you into online giving, and you're going to click new donation form. And this is where it's going to give you options of creating an optimized form or a standard form. So in this case, I'm just going to create a standard form. And you'll give the form a name. I would definitely suggest naming this something that really is going to make sense to you and your organization. So especially if you have a lot of forms, it's easy to find and know exactly what you're looking at. And then you'll decide what types of gifts you want to offer on your form. If you have all of these on the form, it will provide a toggle so that you can go back and forth with one-time or recurring or pledges. And then you'll definitely select which funds you want to appear in the dropdown. So I can select all of these if I wanted. So whenever we go and preview it, there'll be 65 funds in that dropdown. If we want to have a default and where it's automatically going to populate one of them, then we could do that as well. This will allow, if you click on donors can split their gifts between designations, it will allow the donors to select more than one fund. So those gifts will come across as a split gift. So just be mindful of that. If your organization doesn't really do split gifts, then I would leave that to where that is not available. I typically leave these, at least the recurring gifts upsell selected. The intelligent ask is really more kind of personal preference. From what I've heard from Blackbaud and and just listening to some of their videos and them talking about intelligent ask, is it's really only looking at the type of phone and kind of where someone's calling from, is my understanding. And so many times for many organizations, I don't use intelligent ask, but if they do click a one-time gift, this recurring gift upsell will try and basically upsell them to make a recurring donation. Haven't really ever had any pushback or bad, feedback with that. So usually have that checked on most of the forms. I definitely suggest, just in general, having campaigns and appeals on all gifts, but it's super helpful to have that on the back of the form. So if you know this is for the gala, you can have it automatically populate with that, and we'll just pick an appeal. So all gifts that come through will have this campaign and this appeal on them. So then we'll click next. If we want to allow direct debit or ACH transactions, we would want to have that clicked. And then for our transaction processing, this is where you get to kind of select, do we want to just leave it in test mode right now, or do we want to go ahead and start processing donations? So we could do a test mode and it won't create any gift records. Test mode, it would create one-time gifts. Or we could just say, let's start processing. Once you do that, you can't undo that. So once it starts processing, you can't go back to test. And then for fee coverage, I know PSG has a lot of videos and resources about all of these different options, but basically, how do you want the fees to be covered? Do you want Blackbaud to pay? Do you want the organization to pay? Or do you want to give the option to the donor for them to pay? So definitely read more about this. You can click on the help and definitely check out PSG's website. There's lots of information about and all the caveats associated with the fee options. So then we'll click next, and here's where we can kind of edit how we want this to appear. So as I mentioned, because we clicked on the first page, one-time, recurring, and pledges, it's giving us all three of those options. If I go back and say, I don't want to do pledges, then now there's just a toggle between one-time and recurring. Then whenever you click into here, you can customize. So do you want recurring to be the default, where as soon as someone goes to the page, they will be prompted to make a recurring gift first, or do you want it to be defaulted to one time? So that's an organizational decision that you would need to make. And then how do you want the asks to display? Do you want them to be horizontal? Do you want them to list vertically with potentially have some optional descriptions, or just allow the donor to just type in an amount? If we go to one time, this is where you can have however many asks you would like. And then you can set a minimum amount. Standard, I would say, is $5. Recurring, same thing. If you wanted to have more options, you can do that as well. And then you can list all these, but have it defaulted to $100. That's up to you. If you say enable recurring gift end date, that will allow the donor to put in an end date. So the gift will only process up until that date. So it's essentially kind of like a pledge, but it's processing as a recurring donation. The first payment, when that's going to process, do you want the first payment to process right away when they submit it? Or do you want to give the option for the donor to determine when they want the recurring gift to start? So if you do this, you can let the donor pick whatever day, or you can say, if you give them the option, this is what it's, going to be. So there's different options here of how much wiggle room and how much flexibility you want to give them and when the gift is going to process. And then you can determine you can tell the form how many options you want to have as far as how frequently you would like the donor to donate. So you can have up to 6 options of how frequently it would process. And then if you do select, because we selected the upsell, this is what they will be prompted, and you can customize some of this. So you can customize this summary text, the title, and then the little description. And then we have more options over here. If we wanted to give the option for the donor to make an anonymous donation, we can do that. If we want to have consent options, as you'll see, the information, for name and email and all that, it's already populates. If you don't want to offer address, you don't have to. You can click that out. Custom fields. So if there's a custom field like a gift attribute, or even a constituent attribute that you would want to display on the form, you can do that through the custom fields. If you want to allow a comment box, you can do that too, or make it required if needed. If you wanted to pull in phone, you can do that. You can make it required. If you want to offer tributes, you can drag and drop and put this anywhere on the form you'd like. And you can customize, how you want all of the tribute information to populate when that tribute gift comes in. There's also an option for people to make a gift on behalf of an organization. So if you offer that, you'll see it whenever that gift comes through. It'll have the org name and the donor name. And then you can customize, you can add images, various text. You can change all of the different types of headers, colors. On the consent options, you can change the colors and things like that. On the payment button, really just the colors. Okay, and then now we're to the confirmations area. So there is a defaulted confirmation message that does get sent to the donor when they make the donation. You can also redirect if you wanted to have a customized confirmation page on your website. You can direct them to that as well. If you want to display the social sharing options, you can do that, or you can uncheck it. If you wanted to automatically have the form go away on a certain date, you can customize that as well. And then this is the email that, aside from the confirmation message that they get after they donate, they can be sent this email. And if you go to Open Email Designer, you can go through the prompts and kind of design what you want your confirmation or your thank you email to have from the donor. It's really pretty simple with drag and drop. You can pull in images, text, and kind of customize this however you'd like. As soon as a donation is made, you can type in whatever email addresses. That's 2, and you can type in however many, up to 10. And then if you only wanted notifications to be sent if the gift is over $1,000, then you can type that in. And then if you want receiving options here, if you click on these, that's going to give you the options. You'd have to go into the receiving area in Razor's Edge, but you can set up the various receipts and pick which template that you would like to use. So once all of that is set, So then we're going to preview. I'll save it first. Then we'll preview. And here we can kind of see, so if we toggle, we can kind of see what that's going to look like, and we can see all of our options. And then if that looks good, we're going to save and close. And then that form can be displayed on your website. Thanks for watching.